All right, y'all. Let's talk about insecurity. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Unlimited Podcast, where we help you maximize your creativity. I'm Izzy Lemons. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Unlimited Podcast, where we help you maximize your creativity. Like I said, I'm Izzy Lemons, and if it's your first time, I want to say welcome to the Unlimited family. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Look, I promise you, it's not going to feel like a waste of time. You're going to leave here with some wisdom for your creative journey. But if it's not your first time, I want to say thank you for coming back and tuning in again. I appreciate your consistency because it's what got us to 500 downloads on this podcast. So I want you to clap it up for yourself for just a moment. Your consistency and support is greatly appreciated. Look, we're looking forward to the next 500 downloads, which will get us to 1,000 downloads. So if this is helping you, please continue to share and tune in and hit that little download button. But back to the first timers though. As a brief introduction, my name is Izzy Lemons, if I haven't said it 10 times already. And I've been a creator for over 14 years. But I reached a point in my life where everything came crashing down because I didn't know who I was or what I was created to do. But now I run this thing called Unlimited Artistry, where we help you maximize your creativity by helping you understand your purpose, uncover your creative identity, and uncap your creative potential. And all of this leads to a state of unlimited artistry, which is using our creative gifts in the way that our creator intended for us. So if you're ready to go on the journey of maximizing your creativity, stay tuned. On this journey to maximizing your creativity, it's super important that you're surrounded by a community of people on the same journey. And that is why at Unlimited Artistry, we've created the Creative Collective. What is the Creative Collective? Well, it's a community forum where creatives can engage in conversation on creativity and purpose regarding their creative gifts. It's the perfect place to ask questions, share experiences, and talk about the things that affect you as a creative. Through the Creative Collective, we've seen creatives receive the opportunity to monetize their gifts and even gain accountability for the goals that they set for themselves. But most importantly, the Creative Collective is a space where you can find support others, and be surrounded by people that you know care for you on this journey to maximizing your creativity. So if you're serious about taking this journey, go sign up for the Creative Collective right now. The link is in the description. Do not miss your opportunity for community. So look, if you couldn't tell already, Unlimited Artistry is passionate about connecting you to the mission and the purpose that you were created for. Maybe a part of that mission or a part of that purpose is to start a podcast. What better day to start a podcast than today? Maybe there's an internal pull that you feel to share some wisdom or share encouragement that you've received. What better way to do that than through a podcast? If that's you, then we have the perfect tool. It's called Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is like a virtual homie that knows everything about podcasting. They have plenty of resources, from how to pick your podcast topic to how to pick your audience, from how to monetize your podcast, all the way down to the distribution of your podcast to all the major streaming platforms. Beyond all of that, they have many different pricing options, so you can find a plan that fits you and your budget. All right, that's cool and all, but since you're a part of the Unlimited family, we had to take it a step further. We had to make it a little bit sweet just for you. If you go to the link in the description and sign up for a paid account, after your second month, Buzzsprout will send you a $20 Amazon gift card. Let me tell you, that's an 80% return on what you would be paying for 2 months of a subscription. And who doesn't love Amazon? Look, this is an amazing deal and the perfect opportunity to start your podcast. You don't want to miss out on this, so click the link in the description. Might I also add that this is a great way to support Unlimited Artistry. And who doesn't love Amazon? Look, that's that, but y'all already know what time it is. It is time for an unlimited production. Music production is a major foundation for everything that Unlimited Artistry is. We've had the honor and privilege to be a part of many different works, and we love to share the stories behind those works. This is our way of sharing what Unlimited Artistry is doing to stay creative. We also do this for educational purposes, so if you have any questions, feel free to join the Creative Collective and hit me personally. I promise you, I'll respond. This week's Unlimited production is titled Better Than Nothing by Triana Akila.
I don't feel like myself. Oh God, I need your help. I don't feel like myself. Oh God, I need your help. I don't feel like my
This song was one of my favorite productions to be a part of because it has this organic feel and it's very natural and open. This song was written by Triana and another writer named Alicia Ray. Unlimited Artistry provided full music production, mixing, and vocal recording for this record. Mastering was provided by Mobtown Studios. Dorian Gray Urban Gray provided keys for this record. All guitar tracking for this record came from Unlimited Artistry. Bass parts were provided by Armani Whitfield of Field Trip Music, who just released a bass sample pack. So all my musicians and music producers, if you want some great bass sounds, visit the link in the description and go download that pack now. I love this record a lot because it allowed me to use the tools that I'm most comfortable with, which is guitar. The song started on acoustic, and actually the original chords were played by Triana herself. Triana came in with the original demo and leaned on Unlimited Artistry to kind of take that and expand it into a full song. A fun fact, this record features a bunch of organic sounds, but the percussion was played by myself. My favorite element to add into a track are tambourines. Look, if you know me, you know I love my tambourines. And if you hear a tambourine on a track, on an Unlimited production, you can bet your bottom dollar that I played it. Tambourines add an extra boost of energy to any production. So music producers, a little tip for you. So look, if you love what you're hearing and would love for Unlimited Artistry to help you bring your musical visions to life, you can visit the website unlmtdartistry.com/music and get started as early as today. We provide full music production, guitar tracking, mixing, and mastering. Visit the website today and get started. All right, y'all. Let's talk about insecurity. Man, as a creative, I know that we can experience a very high level of insecurity. Why is that? I don't believe it has anything to do with our skill. Even some of the most skilled creatives experience insecurity. It's my belief that insecurity comes with our human experience. It's not built into us, which we'll get into later, but it's developed as we experience rejection and have these other types of experience that kind of point us in that direction. I won't speak for you, but I'll speak for myself. Insecurity has stolen a lot of ideas, opportunities, and I've even seen it within my sphere, within my environment. I've seen it steal many different careers. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? Have you ever been jealous of others? Have you ever almost quit being a creative because you weren't seeing the results that you wanted to? If you've answered yes to any of these, you've definitely experienced some form of insecurity. For me, insecurity is a seasonal battle. In some seasons, it's a little bit harder than others. But in each season, I'm able to come out on top because of these 3 things that I'm going to share with you today. So today I'm sharing 3 things to keep in mind about insecurity. Thought number 1, there's no time for you to withhold your gifts. I know that for myself, my response to insecurity has often been to withhold the things that have been placed within me, the things that I feel insecure about. Let me tell you, this response will cost you more than it actually adds to you. I want to paint a picture for you. Imagine you go get your best friend the best gift for their birthday, but you love it so much that you hold on to it. You're now withholding a gift that can make somebody's day, week, month, year, life better. That gift also never reaches its full potential because it isn't given to the person that was meant to receive it. The same thing applies to our creative gifts. No matter what may cause us to withhold, as long as we keep it inside, it has no room to develop. I want to read a passage of scripture to you. This is Matthew 5, verses 14 through 16. And I got my old Bible out. Y'all can tell it's been through a little something. But Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, it says, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." What is this saying? It's saying you don't have time to light your lamp and sit it under a bucket, because what happens when it's under a bucket? It goes out. Listen closely to me. You do not want that light to go out. Whenever we use the creative gifts that were placed inside of us, man, it brings praise to the one who created us and placed those gifts in us. Therefore, just like scripture says, it is important for us to let that light shine before the people here on earth so that they can see the one who created us. In a dark room, can you imagine the difference a flashlight would make? No matter how big or small or even dim that little light is, it makes a huge difference. Not only that, but once your light is lit, others can see what's going on around in the room and can find other lights and turn those on. Not only that, but once your light is lit in this dark room, others can find their lights and turn it on. Listen to me carefully. Others can benefit and grow from you shining your light. So keep it charged. Keep the batteries in. Don't let insecurity rob you or others of that light. Look, a gift was meant to be given. Don't be greedy. Don't be stingy. Share. As long as you withhold your creative gifts, nothing good can come from them. Yes, there is the potential of being rejected. There is the potential of negative feedback, but there's also great potential for great feedback and great responses from what you do and what you can add to a room. Let's look at some more scripture. We're going to stay in Matthew, but let's go to chapter 25, where it talks about the parable of the talents. Now, talents in this sense is actually a form of currency, not like our creative gifts, but the naming is just great. So I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. There's a master and he has a lot of possessions and he has some workers that work for him. He's about to go on this long journey and needs his servants to keep watch over his belongings. So he has 3 servants. He gives the first one 5. He gives the second one 2. He gives the third one 1. He gave them each according to their own ability. The first 2 servants, right after the master left, went and doubled what they had. I want to focus in on the third servant though. After a while, the master returns and settles accounts with each of the servants. The first 2 servants show that they had doubled what they had been given. So we'll pick up at Matthew chapter 25, verse 24. Then the man who had received the 1 talent came. "Master," he said, "I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown or gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you." His master replied, "You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it with interest. Take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. And throw the worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." That sounds pretty dark. Let's take this and apply it. Who are you in this situation? Are you servant 1? Are you servant 2? Are you servant 3? Are you maximizing the creative gifts that were placed in you? Have you used those talents to double what was already there? Or are you servant 3 who took that talent and out of fear put it in the ground and let nothing come from it? To me, this parable screams, use it or lose it. There's real punishment that comes and is on the way if we don't steward what we have properly. So don't be servant 3. Here's the last thought about withholding our gifts. Oftentimes we feel like we want to wait for perfection to happen. I can tell you right now, we will die before we see perfection. I had to pull out my trusty dictionary for this one. Merriam-Webster defines perfection as being without fault or defect. As humans, we are full of fault and defect, and so we can't create things that are without fault or defect. It is only the one who created us who is able to create things without fault or defect. If we look back to the creation story in the book of Genesis, we can see that after everything that the Lord creates, he says, it is good. He saw that these things were good. So, thought number one about insecurity, there's no time for you to withhold your gifts. The second thing to keep in mind while dealing with insecurity is that insecurity is fear. Oxford defines insecurity as uncertainty or anxiety about oneself, a lack of confidence. Anxiety is fear of a specific or uncertain outcome. What does that say to us? Insecurity is created out of fear. Like I said before, insecurity is something that is developed over the course of our lives as humans. If we look at 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, it says, "For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline." That right there is our proof that we were not created with insecurity in us already. It's something that we developed over time. I can tell you personally, I've had experiences where I felt rejection or felt like I didn't fit in because of what I presented creatively. Not once did it cross my mind that I was never meant to fit in and I was never meant to just be normal amongst everybody else around me. None of us were created to be average, but I think sometimes we get caught in the trap of wanting to be average, not wanting to stick out so much. Maybe for you, being out in the open, standing out, sticking out like a sore thumb is really uncomfortable. Maybe it's intimidating. Look, I totally understand it, but can I tell you something? For us to reach the full potential of our creativity, we're going to have to do some things scared. We're going to have to do some things intimidated. For a long time, my insecurity came from a fear of rejection. What fear does your insecurity reflect? Is it a fear of rejection like mine? Is it a fear of underperforming or not reaching the standard that you set for yourself? Is it a fear of disappointing others? Maybe it's even a fear of outperforming others, which creates a lot of pressure. No matter what it is, that fear creates insecurity. And so what is fear? I like to define fear as having a reverence for something or someone that is completely undeserving of it. My fear of rejection was inappropriate reverence for the opinions and views of others. My fear of rejection was an inappropriate reverence for the opinions and views of others over the one who created me and gave me these creative gifts. Might I also add that fear is rejection of what our Creator says about us. Here's an example of what our Creator says about us. This is Isaiah chapter 41, verses 9 through 10. "I took you from the ends of the earth, from its farthest corners, I called you. I said, you are my servant. I've chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." During that period where my struggle with insecurity was at its heaviest, this passage of scripture was extremely encouraging. This passage helped me realize that the chains of insecurity that were placed on me, I was picking those up and placing them on myself. Sometimes in our human condition, we let our fear get the absolute best of us. We start to deny ourselves opportunities because we don't feel like we're fit. This is an example of that imposter syndrome. Let's look at an example of just that in scripture. We're in Jeremiah chapter 1, and we'll start from verse 4. "The word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Ah, sovereign Lord, I said, I do not know how to speak. I am only a child. But the Lord said to me, do not say, I am only a child. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you, and I will rescue you, declares the Lord." In this passage, Jeremiah is a young prophet whom God himself called out and spoke these wonderful things about him. That intimidation and fear that comes with the human condition caused Jeremiah to deny all the things that God was saying about him. Let's look at another example in Exodus chapter 4. Let's start at verse 10. In this passage, God is calling Moses to pull the Israelites out of Egypt. God is showing him these miraculous signs to show the power behind who is calling him. Let's pick up at chapter 4, verse 10. Moses said to the Lord, "O Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave man his mouth? Who makes him deaf or mute? Who gives him sight or makes him blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." But Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else to do it." Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother, Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and his heart will be glad when he sees you." These are great examples in scripture of how our lack of confidence, not just in our own capabilities, but in what our Creator says about us, can affect how we move forward. We've seen the response of Jeremiah and the response of Moses. Can you relate to those? I surely can. Here are a couple practical things that I like to put into play to defeat that insecurity. Here's a big one. When I'm on my way to maybe produce or record or perform in some aspect, I like to listen to the things that I've done previously and the work that I've been most proud of. This helps me gain confidence in my choices, in the way that I play or produce, and even in my taste. Most importantly, this is evidence just for myself that shows me I can produce great things. Here's another practical strategy. I like to keep a folder of screenshots in my phone of the responses that I get from the things that I do. I hold on to the moments that demonstrate that I made a change in somebody's life so that I can remember it in a time when I don't feel it as much. I also hold on to bits of encouragement that I receive from others in that same folder. I use all of these tools to basically coach myself into confidence when I need it. In some seasons, it's more necessary than others. So, if you're experiencing insecurity, what did you experience that created that fear within you? Now, what defeats that fear? Well, it's faith. It's that belief in the one that created you and placed those gifts within you, as well as the belief in your own ability. We could define that as confidence. So be encouraged. You're not the only one experiencing insecurity, but you don't have to stay there. So the second thing to keep in mind is that insecurity is fear. The third and final thought to keep in mind when battling insecurity is that there's a place where you belong. I think oftentimes insecurity also comes from not really finding that you fit in. Insecurity can come from not feeling like you belong to any sort of group, to any place. Without a community, there's no one to lift you up. There's no one to encourage you. There's even no one to give you positive and constructive criticism, which is definitely a necessary piece of being a creative. And we'll talk about that another week. I've certainly been to that place, and I want to take this opportunity to encourage you. You are not useless. You belong to a community. There is a place just for you. You hold gifts and skills and ideas and thoughts that no one else can accomplish the way that you do. You were not created to be a carbon copy of somebody else. You were not created to just be basic, to just be average. You were created to accomplish a specific goal, a specific mission, a specific purpose that only you can accomplish. Surprise, surprise, we're referencing scripture again. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and we'll start at verse 14. This section is referencing spiritual gifts. Now, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. If the foot should say, "Because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body," it would not, for that reason, cease to be part of the body. And if the ear should say, "Because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body," it would not, for that reason, cease to be part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has arranged the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, "I don't need you," and the head cannot say to the feet, "I don't need you." There are times as a creative where you may feel uncomfortable, where you may feel like I don't fit in, where you may feel like this sucks. I feel like I don't belong to anyone, to any group, to anything. You have a place. There is a place where you belong. There is a specific spot just for you in this world. There's a specific group of people that you're purposed to reach. Whether it's in a local area, whether it's cultural, there's a certain group of people that only you and your gifts can reach that me nor anyone else can accomplish. Look, I get it. It's super tough to be set apart, to not fit in, to be the different one in a crowd. I want to encourage you with that too. That's actually your superpower. When you stand out, when you're set apart, you've been gifted a different level of influence from others. Don't let that discomfort, that fear, that anxiety tear you away from that mission. There have been seasons where I've tried my hardest to bend toward the standards of those around me because I just wanted to fit in and be accepted by those. But I need to remind you, the purpose that was placed inside of you, these creative gifts were not meant to just fit in. When you try to cut corners to fit into a box that was never made for you, you're forfeiting that mission and your purpose and the reward that comes on the other end of that. Look, I was this person. Don't be the person that pimps out your gift for the acceptance of others. Might I remind you what happens when we don't manage those gifts properly? There's punishment on the other side of that. But the thing that we may experience a little bit before that is just dissatisfaction. We won't see the fruit of what happens when we use the creative gifts that were placed inside of us to their maximum potential. Could you imagine what music would be today if Michael Jackson was never the standout brother in the Jackson 5? Imagine if he never broke out and started releasing solo albums. What would music sound like today? Imagine if Michael wanted to fit in with everyone else. There have been millions of people that were inspired by Michael Jackson to start creating music and to write music. And there are other people who were attached to Michael's mission that were launched into their purpose from that. Let's look at Teddy Riley and Rodney Jerkins. Their careers hit new levels once they started working with Michael Jackson. Now their friends and family and even their kids can look at what they've accomplished and see, this is possible. I can use my creative gifts to do something and make an amazing impact on the world. Look, there's a place where you belong. There's a place where you don't have to change yourself to belong to either. I need you to remember that, to keep that at the bottom of your heart. It's important because when we feel like we don't belong and we feel like nobody's really paying attention to us, it can cause us to make some life-altering decisions. It truly breaks my heart when I hear of other creatives going through seasons like that. And because of that, I'm praying for your strength, I'm praying for your peace, and I'm praying for your focus on this creative journey so that you can reach the maximum potential of what has been placed inside of you. So the third thing to keep in mind when battling insecurity, there's a place where you belong. And speaking of places where you belong, Unlimited Artistry is passionate about making sure that we can be a provider of one of those spaces. This is why we have the Creative Collective. The Creative Collective is a great space to process through the things that you hear on this podcast, to gain accountability for the goals, and to even get some help setting goals for the things that you want to accomplish through your creative gifts. But most importantly, we wanted to take the guesswork out of you finding a community of people that you can belong to. A community of people that you know cares for you and that cares to see you achieve your goals on this journey to maximizing your creativity. If you're serious about maximizing your creativity, there's no reason why you should not already be in the Creative Collective. We meet weekly, we have great discussions, and hold each other accountable to the goals and things that we set. On my creative journey, I've come to know that it's important to have people that you can just check in with and chop it up about the things that affect you as a creative. Joining the Creative Collective is a super crucial part of your creative journey. Don't miss your opportunity for community. You can visit the website unlmtdartistry.com/creative collective to join today. Thank you so much for listening in today. That has been our discussion for this week. To stay locked into everything that Unlimited Artistry has just for you, you can follow us on Instagram at Unlimited Artistry. You can follow us on TikTok at Unlimited Artistry, and you can visit the website unlmtdartistry.com. Again, that's unlmtdartistry.com. I told y'all I'm a musician. I gotta make it a little bit rhythmic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.